Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein.
In the hot seat, Hillary Clinton testifying in front of lawmakers what she told them about Epstein as photos of her leak from inside the room. Also developing tonight, a U.S. citizen among the dead and another in Cuban custody after that shootout at sea. What the Trump administration is saying tonight. The new images tonight in the trial of a father facing charges for his son's school shooting in Georgia. What happened today that made the court cut the video feed? And new developments in the search for Nancy Guthrie. What experts are now saying about whether multiple people may have been involved in her kidnapping.
Where?
And video just in from a burning home.
Cover.
A mother asked to throw her toddler and the family dog off a second-floor balcony. What happened next?
Thank you so much.
The good stuff tonight, the kid who lost his Pokemon cards but found just how kind the world can be.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Thank you so much for joining us on a very busy Thursday night. For the first time, a former First Lady and former president are testifying before Congress under oath and compelled by subpoena. And the topic is Jeffrey Epstein. In testimony today by Hillary Clinton and a scheduled appearance tomorrow by Bill Clinton, they are the latest sign that a public reckoning over Epstein's abuse of underage girls and his long ties to powerful figures is only growing. And there is no telling tonight where it will lead. Moments ago, Hillary Clinton addressed reporters after giving her testimony in which she denied knowing about Epstein's misdeeds and accused House Republicans of trying to distract attention from President Donald Trump. It was supposed to be a closed-door hearing, but the politics and a picture spilled right out into public. Here's congressional correspondent Nicole Killian. Nicole, good evening.
Hey, good evening to you, Tony. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton just emerged after nearly 7 hours of testimony. Even though she wanted a public hearing, she told me she will not be testifying again, calling today's proceedings repetitive.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton showed up for her deposition, firmly denying any connection to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices.
But Secretary Clinton did have interactions with co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell.
What specific information do you believe she has that warrants her testimony?
Well, you'll see. We know that obviously Maxwell was a guest at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. There weren't many people that went to that wedding. So, again, we're not accusing Hillary Clinton of wrongdoing.
The proceedings were paused after photos of Clinton were leaked online in violation of House rules by Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert.
I really admire her point suit, so I want to capture that for everyone.
Members of Congress and the Republican Party are more concerned about getting their photo op of Secretary Clinton than actually getting to the truth.
Democrats said Clinton cooperated with the panel and resumed her testimony. Her husband, former President Bill Clinton, will testify Friday about his ties to Epstein. Survivor Liz Stein says his testimony is important to her and other survivors.
Anyone who had any connection and any knowledge of Epstein's crimes and wrongdoing deserves to be questioned about it.
The former president has not been accused of any wrongdoing. The former First Lady told reporters that her husband's connections with Epstein ended well before Epstein's criminal activities came to light, and that he will speak to that tomorrow, Tony.
All right, Nicole, thank you very much. Tonight, we're also learning a lot more about that deadly shootout that took place yesterday off the coast of Cuba. All 10 men, which Cuba described as heavily armed and bent on terrorism, have been living in the United States. And according to a U.S. official, at least one of the 4 dead was a citizen of the United States. Here's CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides. Christian, good evening.
Tony, good evening. U.S. officials are pressing for answers from Cuban officials, and they're calling for an independent investigation into the deadly incident that happened in Cuban waters. A White House official confirmed to CBS News that U.S. citizens and legal residents were involved in yesterday's deadly shootout off the coast of Cuba. And we're told at least one U.S. citizen is currently in Cuban custody. According to Cuba's Ministry of the Interior, the Florida registered boat was a nautical mile northeast of the El Pino Canal in Cayo Falcones when the Cuban border guard approached it for identification. Cuban officials claimed there were 10 armed men on board and that they opened fire first, injuring a Cuban commander. Cuba says its border guard returned fire, killing 4 men and injuring 6 others. The injured were taken to this hospital in Cuba for treatment. Cuban officials say assault rifles, homemade explosive devices, and bulletproof vests were seized. They claim the men intended to carry out an infiltration for terrorist purposes.
We're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we'll respond accordingly.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
We obviously want to have access to these people.
We have also learned tonight that the U.S. vessel in question was stolen. A sheriff's report obtained by CBS News states it was reported stolen yesterday. The boat's owner told law enforcement he knew one of the men on board who is believed to have taken it. The vessel is a 24-foot Proline motorboat manufactured in 1981, similar to this one. Tonight, Cuban officials released the names of all 10 men on board. Among the 4 killed, Michelle Ortega Casanova.
His phone is still ringing.
Ibrahim Bosch hasn't stopped calling his friend Ortega. Together, they attended rallies advocating for freedom in Cuba.
What was he like? He was an excellent person.
Ortega's family tells CBS News they have not received any information and are pleading for answers on how they can recover his body. Another friend who knew Ortega said that Ortega told him that he was willing to risk everything for Cuba, including taking up arms. Cuban officials, meantime, said that they have a right to defend their territorial waters. Tony?
Christian, thank you very much. Tonight, a new chapter in the surprisingly warm relationship between President Trump and the Democratic Socialist Mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani. The two met again today at the White House, where attention turned to a Columbia University student detained in an ICE raid this morning. CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen has been following this for us today. Tom, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tony. We're standing just steps away from where this incident reportedly happened. That student, Elmina Agayeva, who goes by Ellie, is from Azerbaijan. And here's what we know so far. She was detained at 6:30 this morning when ICE agents appeared at her dorm. DHS said her visa was revoked in 2016. Agayeva, who is a social media influencer, posted a photo of herself after she was taken, saying, "DHS illegally arrested me. Please help." As word spread of the incident, hundreds of protesters assembled, calling for the woman's release. This afternoon, New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani visited the White House for a meeting about housing policy, where he shared his concerns with President Trump about the student's detainment. And hours later, she was released and returned to campus. She says that she is safe, but in complete shock over what happened. And university officials claim ICE misidentified itself to gain access to the building. Now, DHS refutes that. They say that officers showed their badges and verbally identified themselves. Tony.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Some breaking news to get to tonight. Netflix says it will not raise its bid for Warner Brothers Discovery to match a rival bid by Paramount Skydance, which, of course, is the parent company of CBS News. Netflix called the deal, quote, no longer financially attractive after the Warner Brothers board said the Paramount offer was better. Now to Georgia, and a moment to note at the trial of a father accused of enabling his son to carry out a deadly school shooting there. The father bought his son the weapon used, and today the court showed video of the son carrying that very weapon moments before he opened fire. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry has been following the trial.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state has requested.
As the prosecution wrapped its case against Colin Gray, the state played jurors security footage from inside Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. On September 4th, 2024, Gray's son Colt is alleged to have opened fire in the school, killing 2 students and 2 teachers. Cameras caught Colt Gray in class, fidgeting, texting, then eventually walking into a bathroom with his backpack, where he contacted his mother, who then called the school. A short while later, resource officers go into the bathroom and take out a different student with a similar name. Colt follows afterwards wearing yellow gloves, carrying the bag with a poster board concealing an AR-15 style rifle. The final image allowed to be shown by the court's pool camera. Colt peering into a classroom holding the firearm. Today, as prosecutors began their replay of the actual shooting, the pool camera shifted to Colt's father, Colin, who immediately broke down in tears. Over the last 9 days, jurors have heard witness testimony from Colin's estranged wife and daughter, first responders, as well as students and staff who were impacted both physically and emotionally.
After I got shot, I turned to my friend Landon and I asked him to hold my hand because I was scared.
The defense plans to call one witness to the stand tomorrow, Colin Gray. His son Colt is awaiting trial and has pleaded not guilty. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Atlanta.
Now to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. 26 days in we are, and the main crime scene in Tucson is now being turned back over to the Guthrie family. CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti now on a new theory in what remains, for now anyway, a baffling abduction.
Authorities have returned Nancy Guthrie's home to her family nearly a month after she was kidnapped.
What does that mean right now in the stage of this investigation?
Investigators believe they've obtained all the evidence they're going to be able to obtain from that crime scene.
It comes as a source says the FBI is moving its command post from Tucson to its headquarters in Phoenix as part of what's being called a long-term plan. And authorities are not ruling out more than one accomplice.
If it's an organized group with multiple people involved, you're looking at a level of higher sophistication that helped prevent them from leaving a signature.
Including on surveillance. Experts say a Wi-Fi jamming device could have been used.
Wi-Fi jammers, which are illegal in the United States, but definitely disrupt surveillance images, alarms, maybe even cell phone connections on Wi-Fi backups.
The Pima County Sheriff says DNA taken from Guthrie's residence and described by sources as low level is still being analyzed at this lab in Florida.
Someone out there knows something.
Nearly 24,000 tips have poured into the FBI, more than 1,500 alone since the family announced $1 million reward on Tuesday.
If this is an organization, people talk. It's that type of individual they're targeting with this $1 million reward now. Now this is life-changing money.
And sources tell CBS News there has been friction between agencies here on the ground over the sharing of information. This as the FBI continues to call on the public for help. Anyone with information is asked to call that number on the screen, Tony.
Those numbers again. Jonathan, thank you very much. We turn now to Geneva, Switzerland, and what was, by all accounts, a productive day of face-to-face talks between the United States and Iran. But despite progress toward a deal, both countries and the region are also preparing for failure and the potential for war. Here's CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata from Israel tonight.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, ended today's talks in Geneva with the promise of more talks. Talking peace while preparing for war. The Ford aircraft carrier pulled out of port in Greece, heading east to join the massive U.S. military buildup, including F-22 stealth fighter jets deployed to Israel for the first time. Divisions remain over curbing Iran's nuclear enrichment and more.
We'll have to have conversations about more than just the nuclear program, but if you can't even make progress on the nuclear program, it's going to be hard to make progress on the ballistic missiles as well.
Those missiles, Israel's most urgent threat. Last June, Israeli residents experienced them firsthand. A CBS News camera captured the moment missiles penetrated Israel's vaunted Iron Dome air defense system and U.S. interceptors, striking residential neighborhoods in Tel Aviv.
Did you ever expect that this would happen right in Tel Aviv?
Adi Gafni was sheltering during those explosions.
That must have been terrifying.
It really was insane, and I cannot explain it with words enough.
If the U.S. attacks Iran, those same Iranian missiles also putting thousands of American troops well within reach. The entire region remains on a state of high alert. The next round of talks scheduled to take place in Vienna on Monday, where it's hoped there'll be some kind of breakthrough. Meantime, President Trump considers his next steps. Tony?
Charlie, thank you very much. Still ahead on the broadcast tonight, an ultimatum from the Pentagon over artificial intelligence in warfare. If you're concerned about what artificial intelligence means for the economy, consider what it might mean for war. The Pentagon wants to unleash the powerful chatbot Claude for all lawful military uses, and it's demanding that the company that built it, Anthropic, agree to some controversial changes by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Here's CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent.
With less than 24 hours left, Anthropic and the Pentagon are locked in a standoff over access to the company's powerful artificial intelligence.
You can't put the rules and the policies of the United States military and the government in the hands of one private company.
Today, Undersecretary of Defense Emil Michael told CBS News the military has now offered Anthropic concessions.
We will put it in writing that we're specifically acknowledging that these laws exist for the privacy of Americans. We're specifically acknowledging these policies that have been in place for years at the Pentagon regarding autonomous weapons.
But if Anthropic doesn't comply, the Pentagon says it will revoke the company's government contracts, labeling them a supply chain risk, or seize use of the technology under the Defense Production Act. Tonight, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei responded, saying these threats do not change our position. We cannot, in good conscience, accede to their request. The conflict stems from the Pentagon wanting unrestricted access to Anthropic's AI for military use, while Anthropic says it wants to maintain restrictions that will not allow the military to enable mass surveillance of Americans or AI-enabled autonomous weapons without human involvement. Jeffrey Laddish used to do work for Anthropic.
I think Dario is in a very difficult position. He really does want to make sure that Anthropic's AI systems are both used to help improve U.S. national defense, but he's also very concerned that those systems could be really misused.
We're here in San Francisco, just a stone's throw away from Anthropic headquarters, where the CEO, Dario Amodei, is not budging. He's saying to us in a news statement tonight that if the military does not intend to use Claude for mass surveillance or autonomous weapons, he says, quote, they should have no problem agreeing to these restrictions. And again, that deadline tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tony?
It's a big story, Jolene. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Up next, a couple of skiers spot a pair of skis sticking out of some deep snow. We'll tell you what happened next. It's the ultimate what would you do scenario. Your house is on fire, your kids are in danger, but you're trapped on the second floor.
I got her. Drop her.
That's a 3-year-old dropped into the hands of a responding officer who, for good measure, also caught the family dog. As a fire ripped through that apartment in California's Bay Area last week. The rest of the family, by the way, they escaped by ladder, and yes, everyone is okay. It was the first run of the day. 2 friends on the slopes in California scanning the fresh powder, and that's when they see it. The top part of a pair of skis sticking out of the snow, and attached to them a fellow skier who apparently had just seconds to live. He gasped for air as soon as they wiped the snow away from his face. He was okay. Up next, the good stuff, how airline workers stepped up when a boy lost his favorite thing in the whole wide world. We are back with the good stuff, and it begins tonight with a picture. You're looking at 7-year-old Reed on what he would later tell his little sister was the best day of his life. What's amazing is it began on one of the worst days of his life, because when you're 7 and you love Pokemon so much that you dress up as the characters, there is nothing worse than losing your cards. And Reed lost all of them, his entire binder, at a food court in the Denver airport last fall. You can imagine the agony. Dad posted online hoping someone had found the little binder and could return it, but that's not what happened. Instead, a worker for United Airlines saw the post and asked the company's thousands of employees if they had any Pokemon cards they could donate to Reed. And there's your happy picture.
We'd like to help you start a new collection.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
The response was so huge, in fact, that Reed couldn't fit it all into just one binder of cards. Not even close. He got more than 15,000 cards in all, many with handwritten notes like this one that said, I, too, lost my collection when I was younger, and it hurt so much. I don't understand the first thing about Pokemon cards, but we all know the feeling of losing something. And now Reed knows the power of giving. His dad says he got so many wonderful cards, more than he can possibly play with, that he's going to start giving them away to other kids who need them. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. Thank you so much for watching tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night for now.